and welcome to Miss Neff's Art Lab. Today's technique project is going to be about painting with coffee. To paint with coffee, you're going to need a few things. The main ingredient of these few things is coffee. So if your parents finish up their morning coffee and they have some left over, you can use that. If you don't have that, you can use instant coffee, which actually works great because you can add a little bit more granules if you want to make it darker. And then if you want to make it lighter, you just add a little bit more water. So you're going to want to make at least three different values. So remember we talked about values being from dark to light, right? So I have 3 different values. I have a really dark one, and then I have a medium one, and I have a light one. You are also going to want, for textures, you're also going to want some coffee grounds. So these are coffee grounds from actual coffee. It's not instant coffee, but you can use some instant coffee grounds. It might not give you the same effect, but you can do that. You're going to want a cup of regular water, and you are going to want some salt. You can experiment with sea salt. I have, just classic Morton salt. It'll give you a more uniformed look when we do the salt exercise, but if you have flaky sea salt, it'll give it kind of a different look, so either is fine. You want a tissue paper or a little piece of toilet paper, and then you are also going to want a small piece of saran wrap. And so that's what we're going to use today to make our textures. Okay, so you want to get your sketchbook out, and what you want to do is you want to maybe create some different sections in your sketchbook for this project. So I'm going to make this top left. I'm going to call it my values. So we'll have our darkest. We'll kind of put it right here. Medium and light. And then over here we can have some textures. So we'll do one for salt. We'll call this plastic wrap. We'll call this tissue paper. And then we'll put some other things over here, but we're gonna wait for just a second. So first, let's start with our values. Let's go for the dark. Let's do our medium. And our lightest. So this is it's really similar to wash with sumi ink, but it's with coffee, right? So for the textures, you can choose whatever one you want. I'm probably gonna choose my darkest. So to do salt, I've put it here on this little table. I'm just gonna sprinkle some on there. It kind of creates this cool, bubbly effect. It's really great for water textures. For plastic wrap, you want to make sure whatever area you're using for plastic wrap, you get really wet. If you don't put very much on and it's kind of dry, the texture won't work. So I want to make sure that this is pretty wet. You should feel a little bit ridiculous with how much coffee ground you're putting on. I'm gonna trim mine down a little bit. It's pretty good. You don't want it totally flat. You want to kind of crumple it up. This also is a really good water effect, or it looks like water if you're trying to use water for something. You do have to set it on top and let it dry. You won't get the effect if you put it on and then pull it off. You want it to dry like this, and so if you see I have coffee in all those creases in some areas, it's like pushed out of other areas. So when it dries, it'll actually kind of dry like that, and all this really neat effect. Oh, and then tissue paper. So you can actually take it and you can dip it straight into one. And you kind of can just create, you know, I put it in my darkest one, but you can kind of create these really, really light textures. And it's also great for layering. Right? Call this one dipped. And then let's do this one will be dabbing. Right. Get an area wet. I'll use tissue paper again. And right, the way that you crumple it up will actually affect the texture. So right, if I just wanted to like dab in that section to kind of create this like darker outline where it got lighter over there, it's great for that. Just like what we learned in watercolor and with Sumi ink. And then I forgot to add a section for grounds. Let's actually use a medium. So you can either put it straight down on there, or you can even get some on your brush and dip it directly in your grounds. You can kind of paint with those grounds. You are gonna need a bit of water. But by using coffee grounds, you actually get, when they dry, it's sort of like the salt, where you'll get these areas where you have the grounds, it's darker around the grounds because, well, the grounds have, right, released some of their colors. And then, of course, you know, we have our other techniques, like you can do a, you know, drip, right? Like splatter. Right, and you can even kind of play with those. Don't forget too that this is like wash, where you want to layer. So, for example, right, I might want to lay some down. Let's call it layering. Right, I'm going to want to layer down a section, and then when it's dry, I'm going to want to paint over that section. So now it's kind of dried. I'm going to paint over it, right? If I do that enough times, I'll get different layers, different sections. Right, and you can kind of create a value tone. So it's been about 10 minutes and my layers have dried, so I'm going to add just another layer of coffee on top. You can kind of see how our salt and grounds are starting to take effect, and our plastic wrap is also drying. I'm adding a third layer to my layers. You can see the effect that they kind of have. It's really interesting. You can't get that if you don't let it dry. It's been about 45 minutes. My plastic wrap is totally dry. You can see that really neat effect it has. When your salt is dry, you can also wipe off the salt granules, same with the grounds. And the layers have a really nice layering effect. So test this out at home. Maybe leave it somewhere where you can, you know, add some coffee to it and then leave it alone for a few minutes to allow things to dry as you test out the different textures and layering, and have fun. And I will see you next time.